Hey, comic book fans, my nerdy friends, and my geeky padres, what's going on? So, it being October, my favorite month of the year, Halloween, it's like, you know, horror month, really. I decided to do something different for this month. I don't know how often I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do reviews on horror books. So, first we're going to start out with House of Mystery, issue 213. This one is written by John Albano. The artwork is done by Alex Nino, and this amazing cover is done by none other than Bernie Wrightson. So we're going to start it off right, and we'll do just a quick review video of this book. So I hope you enjoy, and here we go. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the books, the House of Mystery title, the House of Secrets titles, they're books of pretty much just short stories, at least the ones I've read. I don't know if I haven't read them all. So the ones I've read are just, every issue has a couple short stories in it, and they're all pretty cool horror stories. So the first one in this book is called Back from the Realm of the Damned. This story starts off with a guy who is sealing off his stepfather and entombing him in a wall to give himself time to search for his stepfather's fortune, really. So while he's sealing it up, he's talking to his stepfather, kind of talking to himself, while talking to his stepfather, saying that, he's like, pretty much, you penny pinching bastard, this is what you deserve. Now I can have all the time in the world to search for your fortune, and, the fortune you made while you were working, and the insurance money from my mother's accident. So he seals him up, and he starts searching the house. A couple weeks go by, and he finds the money. And something that's kind of funny to me, like, this was written in 1973. This was written in 1973, just to give you an idea. And he finds the cash hidden in the fireplace behind some bricks, and he's counting out the money, and he counts out to $50,000, and he's freaking out that it's $50,000. And it's just funny because now you think about $50,000, and that won't even buy you a new car, So kind of funny to think of the currency shift in how that changes in time. But so he finds the money, he starts loading up in his jacket, and he's like, I'm going to show you how to spend money. You're not supposed to hoard money. I'm going to show you how to spend it. And as he's talking to himself and celebrating, really, he hears a thud, thud, thud coming from the basement, which you can probably guess what happens. His stepfather's not really ghost. I can't tell if it's a ghost or like he's supposed to be a zombie or something, but he speaks, so I'm guessing it's more of a ghost thing. And he starts chasing him, and he's saying, "Oh, you took my money, and I worked so hard for that. I even murdered for it." So you're to think that he actually killed his stepson's mother for the insurance money. So as the stepson is running away, he throws his lantern at him, and the ghost disappears. he doesn't realize that the ghost disappears, and he just runs. He books it out of the house, and he goes to the edge of town, they said, and finds an abandoned house and hides in there from his stepfather's ghost. And he falls asleep, and he's like just completely asleep. Nothing's waking him up, so he doesn't hear a policeman and a contractor talking outside saying that the person who owned the house that he hid it in passed away, and doesn't want anybody living in the house. So they're going to seal it up, and he's in there while they brick it up, and he sits there counting the money until he dies. So that was the first story. Good stuff. Okay, so the next little story isn't really a story. It's just a one-page, no dialogue type comic from Kane's Game Room. If you don't know, I'll go into a little bit of history on the book. House of Mystery is watched by Kane, from Cain and Abel. House of Secrets is looked over by Abel. Cain being the first murderer, Abel being the first victim, as like in Bible times. So you know, at the beginning of every story, you have Cain or Abel, whichever book you're reading. Cain in House of Mystery. Just kind of do a little introduction to each story. And let me get to it. And then you have Kane's Game Room, which is this little thing here. And then Kane's Mail Room, which is the letters. I'm not going to go over the letters, but this Kane's Game Room thing I thought was kind of funny. So it shows like a carnival ride called the House of Mystery, and people jump in it and they go through it, and there's monsters all over and scaring them, and at the end you see the monsters coming out and getting into the bus there. I just thought that was really funny. Pretty cool. You know, it's just something really neat, just for one page. Why not? Just a little bit of filler. But yeah, so that's the second part of this book. Okay, so the second story, we'll go with third part because I showed you the little one-page little comic strip, really. The second story of this book is called The Other Side, introduced by Kane again there. It's written by Steve Skeets, and the art is done by Rami Gamboa, I think is his name. That was just the title page, but it actually starts off the page prior to a man, his name is Matt, waking up in the desert, lying next to his wife. What's her name? Deborah? Yeah, her name is Deborah. He wakes up, realizes that he's in the desert, and starts freaking out because it's harder than the bed that he fell asleep in at the motel, and he's trying to shake Deborah awake in the desert there laying next to him. So we go back to Matt and Deborah driving along the countryside, kind of in a backwoods road off the main road, and Matt decides he's lost and they need to find their way back to the main road. They're on vacation. It's like their second honeymoon is what it says. Deborah's been looking very forward to this vacation. So as they're driving, they come across this farmer who tells them that he doesn't know the way to the main road. Not very many people come back this way, but there is a motel of the way, and you can stay there. It's a nice place, but don't stay in cabin 4A. there's a device in there that sucks people up and they're never seen again. So Matt and Deborah thank the farmer. They're on their way. They go to the motel and they start talking to the owner. The owner says, "Sure, they have plenty of space. Not very many people come up here. We'll put you up in our best cabin, cabin 4A." And Deborah's like, "Oh, Matt, we can't go there. That's the one that the farmer told us not to go in." And Matt's like, "Come on, you don't believe all that crap. We're just going there. It's their best room. You know, nothing's going to happen to us. Plus, I'm tired, woman. I need to go to sleep." So they get into their room and they go down, fall asleep pretty much. Deborah pretty much asks Matt if he wants to stay awake and watch TV. Matt says, "No, we watch TV all the time. I'm tired. Let's just go to sleep." So as they fall asleep, Deborah feels this pulling, and she feels like she's floating, and she's floating away and lands on something hard. We go back to where Matt's waking Deborah up in the desert, and they see this little window just floating in the air. And they're like, "We need to get back to where we were." And they go and look in the window, and it's their hotel room, or motel room, but much larger than they are. So they're like, "We need to break through this." Matt tries to pound his way through, but it's thicker than glass. And Deborah says, let's see, "If only we could break through this window, get back into the room. But this is not just glass. It's more solid, thicker, like it's one of them force fields they talk about in science fiction stories." I thought that was great. Turns out they got sucked in through the television and are trying to get their way back into their room, but Kane's there. He says it's his favorite TV show and warns us that maybe one day we will show up on his TV screen. Alright, and now for the last and final story. This one is called In His Own Image, written by Jack Olek and drawn by Adolfo Boyla. Don't know if I pronounced those correctly. Probably not. Anyway, our story starts off with... oh man, I forget his name all of a sudden. Okay, we start off with Mason here, kind of doing a Dr. Frankenstein type thing, where he has successfully animated a doppelganger of himself to kill someone for him. This whole story, though, is told by Kane. So he crops up every so often. You can see his head here. He gives us a little description of what's going on. And really, we follow him, who is following Mason and his doppelganger. So we find out that Mason has made a doppelganger, and Kane tells us that, you know, wow, that's surprising, but the doppelganger isn't strong enough to do anything yet, so let's walk over to the gazebo and I'll tell you about Mason's life as a child. So he starts to describe to us that Mason was a strange kid. Instead of going out and playing sports, he'd rather stay in and learn black magic. Throughout his life, he's done some crazy things, like it looks like he's dissecting a frog there, maybe to reanimate it later on, I don't know. Throughout his life, he's had great teachers in the black arts, and his interest in the subject soon outgrew his monetary means. First finding a book of old Greek spells that he could not afford, so he tells the bookstore owner that he wants the book. The bookstore owner says, "Yeah, as soon as I see the money." He says, "No, I don't have the money. $5,000 is too expensive for a book." So he decides to kill the bookstore owner and take the book, only to find out that the book was fake and couldn't turn regular metal into gold. So while he's still growing and getting older, he is finding different ways to get what he wants. No longer murder. He decides to start stealing money. He is a bookkeeper for... it doesn't say for who. I just assumed it was a lawyer or something. But he's a bookkeeper and decides to be an embezzler to purchase the left hand of a hanged man who... from a gentleman who promises it is legit. Soon we find out that Mason's boss, Lewis here, finds out that he's been embezzling money and kind of like doctoring the books so it looks like Lewis was embezzling the money. Lewis says, "I'll give you one more shot to give me the money before I send you to jail." And Mason says, "Oh, thank you, you won't regret it, whatever." And goes home and asks the Dark Lord for advice on what he should do. He looks through his book and sees a spell about making a doppelganger. Decides that is the correct course of action that his Dark Lord told him to take. He makes his doppelganger. And has this whole Frankenstein moment where he's alive, I've done it, which was kind of a cool throwback to us. And then we flip and we come back to Kane, who says, "Oh well, the doppelganger is strong now. Let's go see what's going on." So we find Mason telling his doppelganger that you're going to kill Lewis. It's our only way to get out of this predicament we're in. While you're killing him, I'm going to be seen out on the town, so I have an airtight alibi, and you just do the deed. So we follow Mason out to a nightclub where he's seen by, it says, hundreds of people in 3 hours. So he has an airtight alibi. Mason comes home, and as he's walking in, he is kind of talking to himself. He's like, well, now I kind of have a loose end where I have this doppelganger. What am I going to do? I have an idea. I will grab my shotgun and I'll kill him. And we find out that the shotgun is not there. Being Mason's doppelganger and sharing a soul, as was pointed out to us earlier, Mason's doppelganger does exactly what Mason would do in this situation. The doppelganger double crosses Mason and holds him up and says, it goes on explaining, look, I am you. You told me this. I do what you would do because we share the same. We're two in one. And throughout this exchange, you see Kane in the background here and right there saying, "Oh no, he's gonna shoot! He's gonna shoot!" And flip the page, and the next thing you see is blam. And Kane says, "It's all over. We better be going now." And he says, "What's that?" "The doppelganger." "Why, no, he didn't kill Lewis. He double-crossed Mason, just as Mason would have double-crossed him. But don't worry, he won't get away." And then it shows, and he explains to us, see, because he shot Mason, he shot himself because they are two in one. So, yeah, that was it. It says he forgot that he was Mason. They were two in yet one, so naturally what happened to one had to happen to the other. See for yourself, dear reader. Ironic, isn't it? And then it ends with Kane right there looking at their bodies over a smoking shotgun, both shot in the same spot. So, very cool. I don't do ratings, but I love these books. I love the smaller story arcs. I mean, they're not story arcs, they're just small stories. And it keeps your attention because they're just real quick, 3 stories, awesome, good books. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to see how many more of these I'm going to do. Probably House of Secrets next. And I hope you enjoy them. Let me know what you think. Thank goodness it's October. I love this time of year. It's awesome. Bring on the scary. Yeah. No, I'll figure something else out. That won't be my tagline for October. That's terrible. But I hope you guys had a good time and enjoyed the video. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.